Peter Charles Omolo, Professor Anyang Nyong'o, and Christine Atieno Otieno, the only woman candidate in the gubernatorial race for Kisumu, faced off last night, proving to voters that they are not only fit to be county bosses, but that they have a grasp of the real issues that affect people in the county of Kisumu. On solid waste management, they put forth their strategies touching on the relocation of the Kisumu dump site, recycling of waste, and better garbage collection. Here is what they had to say about that.
Of course, manifesto, you can't make it a thesis. You have to really put spotlight on what you want to do. In fact, solid waste is business. And if I become governor, if and when I become governor of Kisumu, I intend to have lorries going across the county, collecting garbage for management.
Joe, there are two issues regarding this solid waste management issue. First is sewage, and two is garbage. But I want to start with garbage. Today in Kisumu County, garbage collection is largely non-existent, and if it exists, it is done informally, and it's, everybody does whatever they can do. So one of the first things that I'll do is to ensure that we have a proper garbage collection system, because a garbage collection system is what will also facilitate a garbage recycling process, because you can't just collect all garbage and put them all together and expect to have a proper recycling system.
Garbage is employment. Garbage is big business. Garbage can employ our people. We'll start with the women groups. For each and every sub-county, we have the groups of women who are able to handle garbage. We give them that opportunity so that we can put money in their pockets. Garbage can employ the youth so that we don't have to put that money all in one company. We decentralize it and make sure that the youth groups in each and every ward have a take and can be able to also internalize the responsibility of keeping their areas clean. So that way, only through that garbage, we can create some employment for the youth groups, the women groups, and spread the money.
Now, in staying with that debate, utilities continue to be a major point of discussion in this political season in Kenya. Water, power, sewage, you name it, keeps coming up in discussions all over the country on service delivery. So what about energy? This is one area where innovators have disrupted the way things have been done traditionally. One of these innovators is Mary Njue. In 2012, she left employment to start her own firm, Epicenter Africa Limited. Epicenter Africa is an engineering firm that deals in the design and construction of water and solar power systems, as well as water purification systems. Epicenter works mainly with communities in the arid and semi-arid areas of the country, providing sustainable power and water solutions. That company also has a presence in South Sudan, Somalia, Tanzania, and Ethiopia, and hopes to grow into the rest of sub-Saharan Africa in the near future. And she now joins me in studio herself to be able to give us some insight on what exactly the company is doing, and what, of course, are the solutions that she brings to the energy conversation. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Now, your background is engineering, and of course this means that you have been at the front line of trying to deliver workable solutions for a lot of the African continent. Part of our challenge has been the cost of putting up utilities, power stations, substations, delivering this power to people. What do you think the differences that your company and the solutions that you offer bring to this equation?
Okay, Epicenter Africa was founded actually to focus on providing sustainable power solutions and water solutions in the off-grid parts of our country and the rest of the region. And if you look at the trends today, or the current situation with electricity today, the current installation capacity is about 2,300 megawatts.
Yes.
And only or less than 1% of that is actually solar that has been sent to the grid. But there are other power providers in the market, which is mainly focused, or the private sector is what has taken up, and that is what's part of what Epicenter Africa is doing. Because in the last census, if you look at the numbers, we had about 7,000 million households in off-grid.
Yes.
And out of these 7,000 households, less than 2% actually had solar systems in their homes. That is less than 200,000 installations.
Yes.
Now with 7 million opportunity that is available. And that looks as a big opportunity for the private sector, but also as a need for our citizens that we don't have power supply to our people. So far, we could say we've done about, or rather, what is currently available is about 500,000 installations.
Yes.
And every year we find about 40,000 of these coming up. This area is growing rapidly. With a lot of the solar systems themselves, leave alone the hot water systems, but lighting systems in our homes. Then we have the lanterns, and we have other solar installations as well. So this is a big opportunity, but also a need or a gap in our society that Epicenter came in to fill.
Part of the solution in other areas where disruption has taken place, for example, in communications with mobile telephony and the financial services, has been the fact that the need was so big that even when regulators and government did not really see it at first, later on they were able to put in place measures that give a real push to this sector. Do you think a real push has been given to your sector yet?
We'll say the environment is enabling. The government has tried in their own ways to create an enabling environment in the reduction of taxes, that is the import duty tax, the value-added tax. So that has helped. Also certification of technicians, because it is a technical field. So that has helped. But also other enabling environment, factors have come to play, because solar power in itself has come down by over 80% in the last 10 years. So that is a big enabling environment that is putting the push towards the uptake of solar power.
Then talk to us about what exactly it is that these solutions are. If you were to hold up one thing that you're doing that you'd say, for each household out there in the rural areas without access to main grid power, this is what you need, what would that be?
A normal household, would say up there, either in the rural or in the urban, would require power for lighting, for heating, and for the other appliances. For lighting and other appliances, you can easily do with what we call the PV solar generation. And for heating, we have the thermal solar that is used specifically for heating. So with that too, you can actually completely have your power supply completely run on solar, either generated or the thermal heating solar power supply.
We have several kinds of consumers. We have those big ones, for example, lodges in the middle of the Masai Mara without access, and they need large-scale systems that will enable them cook, keep power, keep the guests comfortable, keep their fridges and other things working. They have generators to do this sort of thing. But a lot of them are looking to cut down on the cost, especially with the high cost of petrol and diesel and that sort of thing. What are the solutions that are available currently to assist this kind of person?
I would say solar in our country, we are very down with the abundance of solar. And it is one solution that is currently the go-to for anyone who is not grid connected. But even those that are grid connected, it is becoming the better option because of the cost element. The initial installation could be expensive, I would say, but which has also come down. I would say it is affordable, even considering the connections of the grid power right now. Anybody outside of grid that requires to run generators, even for our environment, I think is something they need to rethink. But solar has become of age in terms of technology. And right now, you can run a whole establishment. And we have several of them that are running now purely on a solar power supply without requiring any fossil fuels like the diesel generators. And if you're off-grid, then you really can be able to operate 100%, offer all your facilities, including swimming pools, including any heating that you might require, including any appliances that you might need to run, whether it's a hotel. And it's reliable. And it is reliable because the beauty about solar is that you get your sunlight hours every day, even when it is cloudy. The thing about solar is about light, not necessarily the heat. So every day you'll be able to generate some amount of solar. And what we get in Kenya right now, it's about 5,000 kilowatt hour per square meter. So you can imagine that is, if we harness that power, it can be able to do a lot for us if we go that route.
Recently, the I'll say county of Nairobi and several others legislated that for every construction, both residential and business, you have to put in place a solar water heating module that will enable you start first to cut down on your own costs, but also reduce the burden on mainstream supply of energy. Do you think this is the way to go right across the country?
Definitely a way to go, because the heating cost, or the 18% of power requirements, is significant. And if you can take that away from the burden of power provision from the grid, then that will give us surplus power that we can use elsewhere where it is required. And it is something that I think should be, we should encourage across board, and even increase other areas at which solar therefore can be used. And there are many other ways, and there are many other potential areas that in Kenya here we can talk about using power, solar power.
Yes.
For instance, there's always a link between energy, water, and our food security.
Yes.
We can talk about solar as the energy, providing water. And in our country, we have surface water, we have the groundwater in the boreholes,
boreholes,
and we can use solar to pump that water. We know about only 20% of our country is arable. The rest of it will require irrigation. Where is that going to come? What is a sustainable way of being able to irrigate our land and therefore provide food security? There goes solar for me. And many other ways. When you provide water, you're affecting your health and sanitation for the communities. So it's helping that a lot. We're talking about clean power. We can put together agroeconomic zones with sustainable power. People can do value add in their productions in the fields. You can actually improve the quality of life. We talk about solar power providing light, therefore providing, affecting our education, security, quality of life. There's so much we can transform our communities through energy, especially sustainable or renewable energy like solar.
Well, we're talking about application. Each constituency in this country, most places put up things like hospitals using dispensaries and small rural health centers. A lot of these don't have access to mains power. They have drugs which need refrigeration. They need to take care of patients using light. Do you think solar can be a solution for that kind of facility? And should this then be the next generation of investment at that level? Because they don't seem to be doing it.
I would say already that is happening on a small scale, including through the government. The government put up a program where they were powering schools and even health centers. And I think they did about 700 kilowatts of that, purely to power our schools in the rural areas, and especially our health centers where such power would be required for refrigeration and such very delicate issues.
Finally, we usually don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm sure there are examples right across the world that we can hold up for people and say, hey, these guys have done it, so why can't we? Where would you say we need to look for this sort of inspiration?
I would say in Africa, there's a lot of focus on Africa, being a continent that is very well endowed with the resource of solar. And there are many developments. I would say South Africa has done as a lot of installation, not because possibly they have the biggest generation or capacity to generate, but probably because they have looked at it deliberately. We could also do that, and we look at what can we do deliberately for our communities, provide a sustainable power solution that we can do. Yes, there are many countries out there. I think the leading right now would say is Germany has done very well in terms of solar, as much as their climate doesn't quite favor like we would. But we can learn from such countries and the technologies that they have, which are already available and we can apply.
Yes, finally, in closing, solar is an enabler for small businesses, SME. Being able to work into the night where they normally shut very early, for children to learn, for farmers to look after their animals. What sort of impact do you think application of these sort of things will have on our economy going forward?
Well, I think it is enormous, and the minute we start thinking critically at the socio-economics of these sustainable power solutions, we will see a huge impact on our society. I'll give a small example of we lit Mandera town a few months ago, and the most interesting thing is when we put the street lights on the streets, we would have children come at night
Yes.
to read under the street lights.
Wow.
You can imagine the impact and what message that is sending to us in the
So
industry.
you were part of that project.
Yes, we did that, and the security situation improved. If we can do that to homes, the quality of life you're going to change our society. You can imagine the impact it's going to have on all sectors of our economy.
Yes.
Basically, yes.
We've had this situation where counties, because you mentioned Mandera, have been putting up these huge floodlights, but they always wait for them to be connected to the national grid. Do you think we can bring that sort of solar solutions to the little villages out there to enable them start enjoying those benefits?
I don't think we need to wait for huge projects to come for us to be able to enjoy this resource, because we can generate solar, unlike many other power sources, like wind or hydro. Solar can be, taken to the very basic home level, village level, community level. It can be downscaled to that level. And you can have a single installation. You can have a mini grid, like we have some happening right now that is powering a village. Or we could have a larger unit that can fit to the grid. So you can scale down all these, and we do not need to wait for a major installation for us to enjoy this. Even our own homes, we find a lot of people going to do the solar installations for their own use at the home level, at the school level, at any other institutional level. It can be scaled down to that level.
Okay, indeed, interesting. Solar is something we're very passionate about, and one that we keep coming back to on and on. Indeed, thank you very much, Mary Njue, for taking the time to talk to us here today. We want to invite you back at one point to be able to give us the aspect of how we can start to make money from feeding back into the electricity grid, but that of course is a story for another day. Asante sana.
Thank you very much.